Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Lyfe Choyces podcast.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode here on the Lyfe Choyces podcast, where we discuss mindset, success, the good and the tough aspects of going after your passions. On today's show, we have a friend of mine, Matt Beinstein.
Yes.
All right, I said it right.
You got it right.
I'm getting good at all these people's names.
I always
love
get
it.
Bernstein, so you got it.
Beinstein. Awesome. So what I'd like to get into before we get into the actual topics here is if you can, like most of our guests, kind of get a moment here and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what you do for a living.
Okay, so originally from New York. I've been down here in South Florida for about 20 years. What I do for a living, I'm a board certified behavior analyst. Most people don't know what that is. I do the science of behavior. I work with mostly people with mental disabilities, all age ranges. My youngest client's 4 years old up to I work with people in their 60s. I've been doing it since undergrad, the position under me, and then when I finished my undergrad at FAU, I got certified, went back for my master's, got recertified, and I've been doing it for a little over 10 years now, all in the Palm Beach County area.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That is a hectic job.
Yeah. Always people are like, you must have a lot of patience, and it's awesome that you do that. For me, growing up, my older brother and my sister-in-law, they met at a school working with these people in that population, and he had a kid that we called him Zachary. Zach Attack. He was a big autistic kid, and he would bring him over the house. So I was always exposed to that population at an early age, and I always felt comfortable working and being around that population. Some people, they don't know how to act, or they don't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. So for me, I've always felt comfortable working with that population, and I kind of fell into it with my family. Now my little sister, she also does it. She's certified, so it's a little family business, and we've all been doing it for years now.
I mean, remarkable. It's a career that not a lot of people would voluntarily go into.
Yeah.
It does take a certain type of human being to do that. You're constantly helping others, which is amazing.
Yeah,
and I also grew up around autism. Yeah. My oldest first cousin, so he's like the oldest of all of us first cousins, is autistic. I don't know at which level.
Yeah, it's very broad.
Yeah, it is. And I remember as a young child, and again, I didn't think it was weird. I didn't think it was bad. No. It was just, that's my cousin, and he did a lot of clapping and a lot of spitting on mirrors. Yeah. Those are the two things I remember of him. But he always came over and said hi. When we came over to my aunt's house for swimming, because we did that a lot. And he would obviously come with when we had the function at our house. It is almost overwhelming, I think, for most people.
And people ask the clients, I don't ever really feel bad for my clients. I do feel for the families though, because the clients, they're born that way. They don't know anything different. A lot of them don't have the stress that we have to deal with, paying bills and the day-to-day stuff like that. But you can see the stress and the strain it puts on families, especially parents, because most people aren't taught how to be a parent, period. And then to be a parent with a kid with a disability, they really don't know what to do. So a lot of them are lost. When I come in, they feel like they're bad parents. I'm like, no, you're not a bad parent. You just weren't taught what I was taught. I went to school for, and how to deal with this person with this disability.
I mean, to have this career as your passion to the point of going through all that school to learn.
And I don't like school.
Right. I mean, I don't know many people that do. I despised it when I actually didn't go, basically. That's how much I didn't like it. But to go through that much schooling, obviously, probably hard to do the studying and the tests and whatnot. But like you said, you've done this for, it sounds like, your entire life.
Yeah. My first job in the field, I was 18. And it was the title was a behavior assistant. So that's someone who works under me. So I only get to work maybe 2 to 3 hours a week with my clients, but there's people that work under me that work maybe 10 to 30 hours with my clients. So they're like an extension of me. So I did that job all through my undergrad until I got certified, and then I became a analyst, and then I started taking on clients through different agencies and working in that position.
So I went to high school, longer than one should. Then I went to college and dropped out a few times, and then I went to culinary school. So I got to be quite honest with you and my audience. I actually don't know everything when people say this and that and the other about universities. Yeah. So you go and do your basic 4-year.
Yeah. So I went to FAU. I did my I got my I got my undergrad. It's just funny because it has nothing to do with this field, in criminal justice and a minor in business. And so there's a certification board that governs my job. And so I wasn't even sure if I can do it with my degree I had. And then there was another analyst, shout out to Jen. She was a little bit of a mentor for me. And she's like, you're great at what you're doing. You should become an analyst. And I said, well, I have a degree in criminal justice. I was thinking about doing law enforcement. And she's like, no, you can do what we do with criminal justice, because I get offered to work with people like juvies or people that are in corrections facilities. So like Criminal Minds, they do what 100%. I do. So like
the BAU.
Yeah, so you could go different routes in my field.
In your certification, yeah.
Yeah, my certification, because and then my certification is in the world, so I can work in different countries. I've gotten job offers in Dubai, Canada, all different countries, because our certification is recognized,
covered everywhere
in the world.
Yeah, it's not like you're a barber or a hairdresser that has to get different hours,
or like even like doctors. Like if you become a doctor from another country, you still have to get all these other tests and recertification and stuff like that.
Even a lawyer.
Yeah,
my father was a lawyer, and if we had family members that needed help while they were stateside, he could only advise. He couldn't really
even from
practice.
State to state with lawyers. I have buddies that you pass the bar in Florida doesn't mean you can practice in other states. You got to make sure you're either covered or you have to retake the bar in those other states if you want to practice.
Okay, so undergrad basically means your initial
4 years. 4 years. Got my bachelor's degree.
Okay,
and then I got certified.
Right,
because I didn't want. You can get certified with your with an undergrad, with a 4-year degree, or with your master's.
Okay.
It's a different title technically. So with your 4-year degree, you're a board certified assistant behavior analyst. And then I'm a board certified behavior analyst because I have my master's degree.
So you're a top dog.
Yeah. I'm the top dog. Well, you can get your doctorate, but that's more for your title, and then you can do your own studies and stuff like that. I didn't want to go back for that. Once I got my master's, like, I'm good, I'm done. And
so was this something that was kind of implemented in your mindset as a younger person, that you wanted, because this is like I don't even know what to say. It's such a commendable industry to be in.
No, like I said, my brother and my sister-in-law, they were both behavior assistants when I was growing up, and then my sister-in-law got certified, and then I was seeing what she was doing as being certified as an analyst, and the lifestyle and the schedule. And that's one of the reasons I like it. I make my own schedule. I pick the clients that I want to work with. I'm not forced to work with anyone that I don't want to work with. And the freedom that comes with that, which I really enjoyed. I originally was going to be a business major. I wanted to do finance. And I was like, do I really want to sit in an office from 9 to 8? Like, I have buddies who do it, and they're there all day, Monday through Friday, and they're stuck. And I just didn't want to do that. I wanted more freedom. Like, I'm out seeing my clients in the field, all different locations,
you get
settings,
to go, you get
where
to
they are. I don't.
Around.
Yeah, it's not a clinical where like I go to a facility and I only work in that one setting, or they come to me and we're working in an office and we're doing like talk therapy or anything like that. No, wherever my client has behavior problems, if it's at a school, I'm at the school. If it's at their family home, I go to the family home. I go to group homes. I go to day programs, which is places for adults once they age out of school, to give them some fulfillment and some day-to-day activities, throughout the day. So wherever my clients are having their behavior problems, I go to them.
Amazing. So it's interesting because you're working with people that can be successful to a certain level, depending on what it is, whatever level their disability is holding them to. How do you implement like the way you carry your life, like all of the ways in which you have your mindset to be successful? How do you help them become successful?
Yes. So for me, one thing about my job, it puts things in perspective for me. I'm not a person to sit back and complain about anything that's going on in my life when I have clients who, frankly, can't even wipe their own ass. Am I allowed to curse?
100%.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Fuck shit balls. Yeah, it's all good here.
Perfect. Good to know. So how am I going to complain about I woke up, I have a flat tire, or if I'm dating someone, they're bitching at me, or the little minute things that we deal with and then we get all hung up about, I really don't, when it comes, because of my job. It puts things in perspective for me, which I really like. And then for me, the biggest thing I say, and the first thing I say to when I'm dealing with my clients or their families or the caregiver, whoever's there, I said quality of life. If I'm not improving my client's quality of life over everything else, then I'm not doing my job. Yes, they have certain behaviors and the parents might have certain goals for them, but am I impacting their life where it's making them better and then the people around them better. If I'm not doing that, then I'm failing first most, and then from there, then we work on the smaller things of like the actual behaviors that they're having and improving those and replacing them with other behaviors to whatever setting they're at to be for their day to day to be more.
Putting it in perspective is unbelievable, because most of us do wake up sometimes thinking, oh God, like, fuck, I gotta go to work, or, the world sucks or whatever. But yeah, you're seeing these individuals that don't have that ability to go out on their own
to do it.
They can't drive a car by themselves. Nope. They can't go to the grocery store alone. No. And this makes so much more sense now, because I only know you a little bit, and through our
we've seen each other out. We have mutual friends and stuff like that.
But this explains so much to your demeanor. And I literally was just talking with Will Need here when she came in. I met her outside and I saw your car, and I was like, damn, I literally said to her, I was like, it's so weird, because like every time like I've gone out to a dinner or like drinking or whatever, anytime like we've been out, he's not a flashy guy at all. He's very like down to earth, very like just I would not expect that. And like congrats, because
I'm a car guy, so I've always driven nice cars since I've been able to make my own money. But outside of that, I try to keep low key. I'm not very about the attention and everything like that. The flashiness. I work with a lot of clients who are attention seeking, and so that's the thing. And I have friends who are attention seeking.
Yeah, we all do.
Yes. Especially, our generation with social media and everything like that. You see how people it's a drug, and they're addicted to it, and they just want their next fix for that attention.
But now knowing more about what you do for a living makes so much sense to me as to the person that you are. The persona that you have and the way you carry yourself is very modest, is very relaxed. It's very chill. It's very, humble. And that makes total sense now, because you're surrounded on a daily basis with the realization that you just waking up is lucky.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
The complaints I have, I'm lucky to even have those complaints. So,
and that's a great way to look at the complaint. Yeah. Absolutely.
Everything, I would say, life, everything's about perspective.
Yes. Yeah. I just noticed again on the inner part of your arm here, you have a tattoo of a...
This is a bluebird.
A bluebird. Right. We talked about this before.
Yes.
Okay.
This is, my father passed in 2020. He was 81, 50 years older than me. He had cancer 6 times.
Wow.
Beat it 6 times, and then it came back. And then he was about to start chemo, and he had a massive stroke. I think that was whatever you believe in. Way like he was 81. I really didn't want to see him go through chemo and all that, and deal with that, especially when he's battled cancer his whole life. So me and my sister, we got the same tattoo. She has it on her arm. I have it on my forearm.
Beautiful.
That was his nickname.
Bluebird. I love it.
Yeah, that was his nickname. Nice. Yeah, Bluebird.
I got a tattoo on the back of my right calf representing my father. He passed 2017. Similar but different ideas, but it's amazing how we do that, eh?
Yeah.
We don't want to let go of them, so we put them on our bodies permanently.
This is my one and only tattoo. Yeah. My sister has a bunch of tattoos. I always said I wanted my first one to have meaning. Yeah. And so, this definitely
That's amazing. Yeah. So, going after your passion from an early age, because going from high school to college, having a passion in something that puts you in a situation where you have to do something you don't like, which is school. Yeah,
and writing papers too for my master's degree, because I have a master's in psychology focused in ABA, which is applied behavior analysis. So all I do is write 10 to 15 page papers, and I am a horrible writer. Like I was honors class, everything but reading. I was like in slow reading. Like reading comprehension's not my thing. SATs, that part I didn't do well on.
But you're here, and you have the job that you wanted.
Yes, because I was motivated to do it, and it was writing about something that I actually cared about, and I was working in the field, and I could relate it to things that I had to do in my day-to-day job. So for me, it was easier to write about, but that is not my forte at all.
So was it as simple as that when you were going through this tough time of having to study and do the research? Because I imagine there's a lot of reading.
The hardest part of it wasn't writing about it. It was you had to find studies for the research paper that backed what your side of the story was. And that was the hardest part, because my field isn't so known and there's not that many studies. So that was the hardest part for me, was the research papers and finding studies that backed what my view on a certain topic was.
So how did you get yourself through that tough time then?
For me, I just grinded it out. Honestly, I didn't take on too much. So my grad school program was, each class was 5 credits, and it was accelerated as there wasn't breaks. You like went from semester to semester, but I would only take on 1 class at a time.
Okay.
So I wasn't having to write multiple papers at the same time. So I would get the paper, the prompt, and then I'd have a couple weeks to write it. And I just made sure to schedule out, because I was still working full time, had a social life as much as I could. So I was doing all those things and studying for my master's degree. But I think scheduling time and prioritizing that was the biggest thing.
Time management helped you.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. I've always been a very time management scheduled out. Like, I'm the person, like, Monday morning, if I don't know what my week scheduled out it looks like, it drives me crazy. Like, from when I wake up till I go to bed, I need to know in my head what I'm doing. I don't write it down. Some stuff I put in my calendar, like today with this reminder. But other than that, like in my head, I have my running like schedule throughout the week.
Yeah, you have your routine that you know. Okay, the first 3 days I got to be here at that time, and I'm going to end at this time.
I'm going to see these clients this day. Yeah.
So I have a bit more of maybe a tough question to answer. Maybe it's an easy. Your clients have different levels of disabilities, obviously, and I have to imagine the ones that are the closest to non-disability.
Yeah, we say typical.
Typical. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then there's atypical.
Yeah. So like when like I have kids who have autism, they'll be in school, like they'll be in classes with typical kids, and then they're not considered typical because they have a learning disability.
Right.
So we would just say typical.
Okay.
We don't like to say like normal, because that does, like, what's normal, you know?
Look, I'm trying to figure that out still for myself.
Yeah.
So those clients that you have that are the closest to
Yeah, and I would say high functioning.
High functioning.
Yes.
Okay, so those who are the most high functioning are aware enough of them not being as the same as others.
Yeah, so it's funny because people ask me that. That's never a conversation I've had with a client.
So this is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It could be very hard for someone who understands that they are not the same as the majority.
Yeah.
And that could cause depression, or that could cause thoughts of suicide.
Yeah.
The tough question I want to ask is, how often is that something that you deal with your clients?
Yes. So I've had a handful of clients that have suicidal behaviors. A lot of the time it's attention seeking. I've never had a client actually try to commit suicide, thankfully. I've had clients who were on high watch about it, but when it's that severe of a behavior, we implement protocols with those clients, make sure certain objects are not around. I mean, I've had clients who are fire starters, so like you make sure they got to do bed checks and room checks, make sure they have no lighters, no matches, they don't have access to anything like that. So as long as everyone's doing their job and they're following through with the certain protocols that I put in place, luckily I've never had that incidents. I've had clients pass on me, but that was mostly because of medical issues or stuff like that. That sadly, my population isn't the healthiest. With the mental disabilities, there's also comes health problems with it. You'll see they also don't live the healthiest of lifestyles. You don't see a lot that are very active. They don't eat well. They don't eat the best food. So there's stuff that comes along with that.
There's a lot going on in there. Yeah. You knocked on wood like this, which is funny to me because it's what I always do. Yeah. Because I always have my whole life, and even though there's like wood around, it's like,
so is my head.
So since you do deal with that with your clients, unfortunately, probably somewhat regularly, and it's you're saying it's your analysis that implements the protocols to make sure they're safe. Also, there's so many things about your job. It's not just watching them to see, okay, how can I make your life better, but it's also how can I make your life safe.
Yeah.
So I'm loving this conversation already because I'm learning so much information. And even though I grew up with a cousin who is autistic, I didn't even know these things.
No, I mean, it's funny you say that because I have a really close friend, and he has a very high functioning cousin who's on the spectrum. And I was at a family dinner, and they were asking me about my job, and now she has a supported employment job because the family, she's very smart. Yeah. The family didn't know about these programs that are out there and like where to go get the help or the funding or, you know, the different outlets there are for that population. And now she's got even a more fulfilled life because she's very smart, very high functioning, but now she's got a job with a paycheck, and it makes her happy because she can like take her family out for like lunch or dinner sometimes, or buy them gifts and stuff like that.
Feel
more empowered,
like
more
she has purpose.
Yeah.
Which is what most of us want. We want to feel that we have a purpose on this rock.
Yeah, that's the big. Especially I work with all ages, but most of my clientele is adults, and I've always had a soft spot for adults because they kind of get forgotten about. A lot of people in the field, they like working with the cute kids with autism, you know, little kids and stuff like that, the high energy. But for me, the adults are tougher because one, I'm trying to break a behavior that someone's done for 40, 50 years. Instead of with the younger kids, you see results quicker because they're learning more rapidly. Yes, exactly. So you'll see quicker results with that, and that's maybe more satisfying. For me, I'm more satisfied when there's a client who's been doing a behavior for 30 years and they stop doing it, and now the family, or you know, wherever the group home, wherever they live, or they're just the whole setting, the whole situation is much better.
Just elevates to a better positive way of living. Yeah,
because it affects everyone around them, affects the family. Or if I have a client who's a group home, there's 5 other clients with disabilities in that same group home. And if you have one client who is doing certain behaviors that disrupts the whole setting, now you have 6 individuals that their setting's being disruptive, plus the staff, that's another 2-3 staff that's there. It's almost 10 people that get affected by one person, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'll have to ask this next follow-up question then. When dealing with the situation of having to watch and put protocols into to help someone's life be safe, how do you go home? Like, what practices do you do to help yourself deal with seeing that? Because you're seeing these things regularly, which is not stuff that most humans can handle.
Yeah.
And then if you do have a client that, you know, is kind of on that not the best route, and you have to implement something to change their life, you know, you go home afterwards, I'm sure you take some of that home with you.
I'm honest, I'm really good at not doing that.
Really?
A lot of people get in the field. I think because I did the position under me prior to becoming certified, so I've already dealt with it. And since I was a male, I always got the most physical, biggest clients. So I've been attacked. Any behavior you can think of, I've seen. I had a client try to pull a knife on me because I wouldn't let him have ice cream for dinner, stuff like that. Like, yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So I'm trained for crisis management. So there's certain holds I can do to protect me and the client in certain situations, if they get physically aggressive or they get aggressive towards someone else, or they put themselves at risk in certain situations. But taking it home, I've always been really good at not doing that. I don't know why. I think it's just me.
You just separate.
It's just how I am. I know if I did, I see how other people are. Like, there's people who get certified. They go to school for 6-7 years to do what I do, and they're burnt out within 3 months, and they're doing another job
because they don't know how to separate.
Yeah, they can't separate it. And I also, a lot of them worry about it because I can only control what I can control, and I take this into my everyday life, so I don't worry about things outside of my control. So what I can control is the behavior plan that I come up with, the training I do while I'm with my client, and after that, when I leave, if they don't want to follow through, like let's say the parents don't want to follow through, I'll know because that client will not be, they won't improve.
Right.
Because I didn't say, I put it, I'm the coach. I come up with the game plan, but then like the caregivers and the family and the people that work around, they're the players, and they have to follow through with my game plan. If you don't, then you're not going to see the success that you think
should happen. Yeah. So if you don't do the training that you're putting out, nothing's gonna
change. And they have to follow through. It's all about consistency. Yes. Anything in life is all about consistency at the end of the day. And if you see, if the parents are consistent with their kids, they will see the improvement. And it's tough because it's called extinction burst. So what that means is when there's a behavior that's been reinforced, someone's whole life, when you stop the reinforcement, people think, oh, it's just supposed to get better. No, it gets worse before it gets better. Because that client's going to either increase the frequency of that behavior to still try to get that reinforcement, or the intensity of the behavior is going to increase to try to still get that reinforcer. And then once that reinforcer is still not given, then that's when you see the decrease. But some parents, some people, they just don't want to go through it. And it works with typical kids too. Right. I'll go over my friend's house and they have little ones, and I try to keep my mouth shut because I don't like to tell people how to parent.
Yeah.
But like my close friends, I'll be like, you shouldn't do that with Johnny. You know,
Yeah.
like that's if you don't want to reinforce that behavior, that's not how you're supposed to go about it.
So that could be dangerous for you, like because your career is literally observing people.
Yeah,
and it's not just observing people with disabilities. It's you're certified in observing people.
Yeah, I could work with any type. I've worked with private clients. Down the road, I was an athlete growing up. I have close friends that are professional athletes. I want to transition to working with athletes because it's such now with all the analytics and it's such a mental part of it now.
People are more aware of how everything is mental.
Yes, exactly. And that's at the end of the day, that's what I do. It's it's part of mental health.
You can literally help anybody from any age in any field if they're willing to listen to someone that can express to them where they're going wrong mentally in their game. And I say game as in life.
Yeah, it's life. Exactly. That's what it is. If you're not improving yourself or trying to improve yourself every day, then what are you really doing on this planet? Like,
so in essence, you could literally be a life coach of any style.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes with certain friends, I not take on that role, but I try to give advice, and I'm not perfect. I'm very self-aware of my own what I'm going through from the day to day because life's not always great. There's a lot. I always say life's always ups and downs, and then that's why what you said earlier. You're like, oh, you've been very chill when we hang out. I try to stay even keel because I know. Even if it's the best of the best, I know how right around the corner it can crash and come down. So if you're always high when it's high and you're low when it's low, it's not a good way to live life. So I always try to stay in the middle and understand like, hey, like, yes, if I'm having a bad week, there's going to be better days ahead. If I'm in a great week, I know around the corner could, so let me just enjoy this good time while I still have it,
Yes.
And not try to get too hung up from the short time.
I agree with you 1,000%. You are an amazing human being because of a few things here. First off, your natural ability is what I'm going to put it up to be able to separate yourself from your job, which is absolutely imperative, I have to say, because like you said, you have colleagues that have burnt themselves out because they don't know how to separate it. The way you express to us that you basically have gratitude for everything when you wake up to the time you go to bed, without even saying that you give gratitude, you can tell that you do because of the fact that like you're aware not just of yourself, but of what other people go through.
Yeah.
The fact that like, you're aware of what consistency in the mental game can do for you, and you implement all of this together into helping other people. So that just, to me, that just makes you a superhero. That's just me. That's just me. Listen, they say it. Superheroes don't always wear capes, but what you do is I'm just going to applaud you from this day forth now that I know what you do for a living and how you do it. Difficult when you're around other people then, because naturally your brain, the way you've trained your brain is to not just observe. Like most of us people watch, most of us go out there to a bar or a park or whatever.
I do it a little differently.
You do it differently.
I always make the joke, I get paid to be a creep. I go around.
You're not peeking through windows.
No. But there's times where like I have an example. There's a client who's at a program and he has issues during lunch. I know if he sees me, he'll act differently because I'm a stimuli that's being added to the setting, and because he personally knows me, he's gonna act different. So there's times where I've gone covert and I'll hide. I'll be around the corner or a bush or something because I want to observe my client without when he's having the behaviors in that natural setting.
People act differently when they know you're watching.
Yes, exactly. Right. So a lot of times I don't even see the behaviors my clients have. I hear about them because I'm only there for a couple hours, like I said, and they know, even if they don't know, even if they're not at the level to understand what I do for a living or what I'm doing for them, they still know I'm someone different that's not normally there.
You're not an everyday.
Yes, I'm not an everyday person, caregiver, or anything like that. So they will act differently. So certain times I'll tell the parents, hey, like I'm gonna come sneak in today. I'm gonna observe I've observed outside a window before.
Really, from a distance?
Yeah, from a distance, because I want to get a true sense of what's actually really going on in the times and the settings that these behaviors are going on.
I just had an idea pop in my head down the line in the future when Lyfe Choyces becomes exactly what I want it to be, and I have a staff of 150 people and companies spanning thousands of employees. Basically, is my goal here is I'm going to hire you as a team member. It's when I have the finances to hire you, because I'm sure it ain't cheap, but I can see the things. I can see the possibilities of having someone like yourself that's trained in the field that you are to level up a company.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who do what I do, and people like Publix will hire them, and they'll study human behavior, and they'll tell them how to set up the store to get people to buy more stuff. Okay. It's multifaceted. You can use it in any type of field, because at the end of the day,
I was thinking you were going to say how to set up the store to have the employees work harder.
That too. You could look at workers' productivity and see different ways to set up an office, or different ways to set up, the lobby, or this or that, to put something in place to be more productive and get more
morale up and
stuff like that.
Yeah. It just popped in my head, and I'm like, that would be an absolute brilliant person to have on staff all the time. And all you would do is you would just walk around constantly, or incognito, walk around the different buildings, or have different people. Yeah, it's just like I'm going to do this in the future. Sounds awesome. So the fact that you have this great ability and that it's ingrained in your mind, when you go meet a new client, is it difficult to not prejudge the situation based on the disability they may have?
No, just because I know every case I have is a different individual. So just a little background of how my actual job works today. My job is to I write up a behavior intervention plan that gets approved. So it's not I'm out here just writing up whatever I want. So for the adults, there's adults with disabilities, and there's a governing body that's local. It's a local review committee that I'm on also. And every year my plan has to be presented in front of this committee, and it gets reviewed and it gets approved from the state. So everything in that outlines everything. So if I gave you a behavior plan for one of my clients, it would literally tell you everything to do for whatever behaviors that we're tracking right now. For that client. Yeah. So, and it's the behaviors we're trying to decrease and the behaviors we're trying to increase. So each client I have has a individualized behavior plan. Now, there's certain behaviors that are the same, and then certain functions of the behaviors are the same. So every behavior has a function. Later on, if you want, I could get into actual ABA and like all the science behind it, and how human behavior actually works. But all that's outlined in the behavior plan. So each client has a different behavior plan, and I also know every individual is different, even if they could be really similar. You'll see two brothers that grew up the same parents, same family, but they're totally different. So I always go in with an open mind. There's certain behaviors I can see right away because I've seen it so many times. Like, all right, I know what the function is for that behavior, and I know what needs to be implemented. But it's going to be different for like how the family's set up, and the house, and even the room situation. Does the client sleep in a room by himself? Does they share a room? Or how big's the family? Grandma, grandpa there? There's cultural issues, stuff like that. All this stuff needs to be taken into account.
And this is how you come up with the proposal based on all of this information.
Yeah. So just to break it down real quick. So if I had a brand new client that's never had services that I do, I go in, I do a behavior assessment. That's like, I go in, I observe them for a couple hours. I do kind of like an interview with the parents or the caregiver, collect all the information I need for the client. From that, I decide whether that client warrants my services or not. Most of the time they do, because if someone's reaching out to me, it's probably because they've had behavior problems and they need the services. But there's been a couple times where I'm like, they don't really warrant my services. They kind of just need something else, or it's more of like they just need something to do. This isn't something I will deal with. It's not severe enough. All my clients, they have to have like the behavior where it's a medical necessity that I'm working with them.
So do they get referred to you?
Yes, and then I've been in the field for so long that people that so there's a support coordinator that their job is to get all the funding for the clients. So they'll reach out to me, and then I work for a handful of different agencies. So they'll be like, hey, I have a client in this location. I think it'd be a good fit. Or I can reach out, or I can find people and refer them to different agencies and then work with them. So it works vice versa.
And I'm going to take a stab in the dark here that the toughest people to deal with is not the client themselves.
Oh, you nailed it. You nailed it. Yes. I always say I could work with my clients all day, every day. The families, the caregivers, the staff, sometimes that's the most difficult. That's the barrier that most of the time prevents the client from improving. The client's the way the client is.
Right.
It's the outside factors that are controlling their behavior at the end of the day, because all behavior is learned. So that's why I like working with adults, because they've learned how to get what they want. So if you have a client who, let's say you have a little kid who tantrums every time and mom gives them the iPad to get them quiet, you just taught your kid, hey, all I have to do is cry to get my iPad or get something else. So then that's what they do every time.
And we were brought up a lot differently.
Oh yeah. Parents weren't spankers or anything like that, but yeah, I knew not to mess with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Especially mom.
Oh really? Mine was dad. We feared,
no,
we
my
feared him a
dad
bit.
was a big softie.
Yeah. We did things once in our family, and then you just never did it wrong.
Yeah.
Again.
And honestly, I really wasn't a troublemaker growing up as a kid.
Well, now that I know more about you, I can't see that you were. Like,
no.
It seems like the whole family just kind of had this like innate love for other people.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not everyone has that, and some people develop it over time, but it seems like your family somewhere at the beginning of the tree, in the seeds, whatever it is, kind of moved you towards this nice living for
I got
others.
My brother and my sister-in-law, because they were the first ones to get in the field, and now they have their own agency, and I work for them. And
you're the youngest of three.
No, I'm the middle.
You're the middle.
Yeah.
There's three of you?
Yes, 3 of me. Yeah, older brother, younger sister.
All three of you in the same field?
Yes. Yes. So my brother's not an analyst. My sister-in-law is, but my brother and my sister-in-law, they have their own agency, behavioral agency. And then my younger sister, she got certified maybe a couple years ago now. And she lives in Tampa, and she's doing what I'm doing in Tampa.
I just want to hug your whole family right now. I mean, they're just great human beings right there. No, seriously, like a lot of us go after our passions, and everyone has a passion that's awesome, and I love it, and people are doing it more nowadays than they were before. They're more visible about it. They're sharing it. That's what we're trying to do. But to have a passion like you guys have, which is without a doubt unquestionable, helping others, is just phenomenal. You must be able to sleep at night much better.
It's one of the things where it gives me a lifestyle that I like to live my job, but it also feels rewarding, and it's really hard to find, A lot of times it's like, oh, you either got to make the money or you have to, do something that you love, but you might not make. So for me, it's just like, hey, I get to live a comfortable lifestyle, and I also get to feel like I'm doing some good every day I go to work.
You're building a legacy every single day that you go to work. That's what you're doing. You're building a legacy. You are literally touching so many people's lives on a regular basis. And even the most difficult ones, which are the family members, those that wake up one day and realize what an important factor you or other people that do what you do, how important it is that you're there for them, helping their child, and then in turn helping them live their life better is just wow. How does this job transform into your home life, like into?
I try not to let it affect me, but I do know, because I'm a very self-aware person, that my views on people sometimes they're different. It's hard for me to find someone that I relate with at my level or thinks about life the way I do at some point. So I have seen that it does affect me, whether the people know about that or not. When it comes to certain things, I just BS meters goes off, and I just don't have time for it.
Well, you clearly don't surround yourself with those people that aren't on the same level.
No, I don't. All my close friends, they're goal orientated. They either have great families or come from great families, or they're trying to better themselves every day, whether it's physically or in their career or whatever they're trying to do, improve. And I try to make sure our group's always doing that for each other and keeping each other accountable. I feel like sometimes I'm the keep you accountable friend, but I like doing that because I feel like I want to be the friend that it might be tough love. You might not like what I have to say, but I know deep down inside it's making you a better person, or at least make you thinking about something in a way you should probably be thinking about it.
I say this almost every episode that I love what I do right now as a podcaster, and I love the fact that the people in the chair do and say things without me even asking about it that affirms what I'm trying to do. And I've been having this conversation lately with a couple different people. Accountability is absolutely massive. It sounds like you have accountability for yourself.
Yeah, a little bit too much sometimes.
Right, which allows you to hopefully not unsolicited, but hopefully solicited, giving people the accountability for themselves.
Yeah, if no one wants it, then I'm not going to give it. But I have friends who will be like, during COVID, I lost 40 pounds and I went through the whole fitness thing, got in really good shape. So I have friends who saw me do it and they want to do it themselves. So I say, I'll keep you accountable. I'm up every morning early at 5:30. I'll make sure you're up or going to the gym if you want. But
I'll be on your ass.
Yeah,
though.
I'll be on your ass.
Like,
You see most of the time is when we see each other is at the gym.
Dude, like, listen, I had the thought today. Those of us that go to the gym regularly, we're not just going for physical health.
Oh, it's all mental. It is all mental.
We are straight up doing mental shit at the same time. A friend of mine that was on the show a couple weeks back. I saw him at the gym today, and I love this because I love when people open up to me. And he told me about a situation that's going on in his life this week. Unfortunately, lost an army buddy.
Sad.
And we're like, that's why we're at the gym. We're there to deal with stuff. But like on the way to the gym, before I had that conversation in my head, I was like, everyone that I see there every day that I'm there, I know is going through something in their own mind. They know that I'm going through something in my mind if they're aware of as to why they're at the gym. And it's the accountability and it's the consistency of showing yourself what your worth is and how you want to stay on top of keeping yourself physically and mentally healthy.
Yeah.
And it's so important. You had another point there. I came across it a whole bunch lately in social media, and I've said it on my social media platforms, and I've shared it with people that are becoming close in my life and people that have been close in my life. And it's the thing that you said about being that friend that's going to be, how did you word it? The friend that's going to be harsh?
Yeah, tough love.
Tough love, yeah. Exactly. Which I was brought up with tough love.
Yeah.
You know, I did get hit, not with a belt or anything, but it was different.
We all got our spankings once in a while.
It was the 70s. It was different, and the 80s too. I'm not going to make myself older than I am, but it was the late 70s. But that tough love, I think, is more important. And I think it's true what they say out there right now on the visible platforms that if you're too afraid to be honest with those who are closest to you, you're not doing them any favor.
Nope.
By keeping your mouth shut, you're actually perpetuating the nonsense that's in their life. And one cannot be afraid of losing that person by telling them the truth of a situation.
100%
and
agree.
I think in the long run, you know, the one day down the line, you know, the gratitude comes back to you from them and being like, you know what, like, I thought you were a bit of a dick that day that you said this, but now, you know, I get it. Yeah.
And I always tell my friends, like, hey, if I'm being too harsh, you can let me know, but just know it's coming from a good place and it's because I care about you. Because if I'm not saying these things to you, that means I don't care about you, and I don't probably view you as a close friend.
Yeah. One of the Wayans brothers, it was on one of the reels I came by a few months ago, and he made this quote that I shared the other day, which was, I'm not going to say the whole quote perfectly, but his whole thing was, he'd rather be the friend that is there on the days that shit's going bad.
Yeah, I've seen.
He doesn't want to be there. He's not going to come to the bar with you to celebrate shit because he's got his life. You know, every celebration that you have, like, I'll call you, like, hey, congrats, but I'm not going to be there. But when the shit hits you,
I got your back.
I got your back.
Yeah, I'll be there for you. Yeah.
And that's what I said to my buddy at the gym today. I said, listen, everyone that knows me knows that my phone is under my pillow when I go to sleep. It's not off. It's not on silent like a lot of people do now.
Mine's is.
Yeah, well, mine is on vibrate for many reasons. My father, when he was alive, had 9 heart attacks, 2 quadruple bypasses, so on and so forth. So, you know, getting that phone call I didn't want to miss. My mother now lives alone, and, you know, she's going to be 75. And again, like, my brothers are the ones that get the call if she falls, like the devices and whatnot. But I don't want to miss those calls. So my phone is always on vibrate, always under my pillow. And I told the cat today, I was like, listen, man, know this right now. If you need me at any time of day to listen or talk, you just call my phone and I will get up out of bed and I will sit there and I'll listen to you. Yeah. And that I think is what more people need in their lives now more than anything. You cannot be afraid to share your emotions, but as a proper friend, you got to be there for them when they need that.
Yeah, no, especially males. You know, because a lot of males, you know, especially like our parents' generation. I never saw my dad cry once my whole life. My mom, I asked her, I was like, did you ever see Pops cry? She's like, no. I was there when he found out his brother died, all other things. Like, never, because that was it. You don't cry, you're a man, like that's it. But I feel like it's just leading to too much depression, too much mental health issues, and a lot of times people just need to have a conversation about it.
It's having the conversation. Absolutely. Now, I love that you bring that up right now, because we're going to get into this deeper then for our audience out here that's with us today. My father never saw him cry. His mother's, I was only 4 when his dad died. I was 13 when his mom died, my bubby, and did not at all see a tear whatsoever. Lots of shit had gone on, in his life in the time that I was around. Never saw it ever, And we did grow up in a time where they say, take a cup of cement and harden the fuck up. But now it's important that we do talk about it. I don't care about, I almost say I don't care. Those who have the other thought process on this topic, by all means have it. I just think you're wrong. It is nothing wrong with 2 men sitting, talking about their emotions. Some of my closest friends have opened up. We share the idea about going to therapy. Anytime a friend of mine, male or female, tells me in a conversation, oh, I have to go to therapy today, I stop the conversation. I say, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Like, that is a huge thing, to know that you need and want to go talk about whatever it is going on inside your head to get help, to figure out how to get through it is so important.
Opening up like that to a stranger too, it's not easy. So I respect anyone who does it.
That's why I do this. This is my therapy on a regular basis.
Everyone, and that's the thing. It doesn't have to be talk therapy where you sit on the couch or you're on a Zoom call, whatever works for you. But that's the thing. You have to be self-aware of what's going on with you and why you're feeling certain ways, and what to do to change that. And for me, like personally, the last 6-7 months, even I guess since my father passed, like I've been doing a lot more of that, like that soul searching, that like, okay, like there's more to life about like everything else. Like my career's good. I don't have to worry about financial stuff like that. But like sometimes you're still not happy and you're like, wait, I have all this stuff. And like, why am I still not happy? Why do I feel this certain way? Because there's other deeper stuff that you have to deal with.
And you have to bring them up. You have to get them up and out.
I did it
whatever way.
It was a few months ago. It's archived on my Instagram, but the post isn't there. But I did it. It was like a 3-4 page post about at the time I was dealing with some bad depression myself, and I did a whole post about it. It started off as a note to me.
A note to yourself.
Note to myself.
Okay, yeah.
I watched this. I recommend anyone watching it. It's I think it's called Stutz. It's on Netflix.
The Tools. I bought the book. Right after I watched the movie, I bought the book.
So, in the beginning, he's like, oh, one of the tools I have my clients do is I have them write a note. Because when you're writing a note, it's like looking in the mirror, you can't lie to yourself. I was going through a really bad time. I understand why. I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle. I wasn't exercising like I had been during COVID and all this stuff. I gained a bunch of weight and I just wasn't happy, Got a relationship, all this stuff was going on in my life. So I sat down on I'm not a writer, I have horrible handwriting, but I took my notepad on my phone out and I started writing, and it ended up being this long thing. And I was like, well, I don't know, I need someone to read it. So I sent it to a really close friend of mine, and she read it, and I was like, I'm thinking about posting it, but I don't know if I should. I don't know if anyone would even care. Like, I don't want to post it for me, but I feel like it's a conversation that people should have. And if it's coming from me, because no one knows this side of me, because I don't show this side to anybody, from the outside looking in, like, everything's great, life's great, I have a lot of fun, I have great friends, family, everything, I travel a lot, I have a good time, but I still deal with my own shit, I just keep it to myself. So I was just like, do I post it? And she had a close friend who committed suicide a few years ago, and she's like, I wish he would have did something like this, and I wish he would have posted something like this. I said, you know what, I'm gonna post it. And I got a bunch of positive feedback from it.
Absolutely.
And it was like super emotional day. It was like a big emotional dump day for me.
Yeah.
I haven't cried that much in I don't even know how long. And it was really therapeutic for me. And like that got me back on track of like where, I'm, heading now and where I am now in life.
You're at a better place today than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And the next time the dark cloud comes over, you're going to remember what you did last time, and you're going to do that again.
And I had gotten a little dark cloud recently, like a month or two ago, but I remembered how bad I was in the past and how I got through that. And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna be better. And then I got back on track and stuff like that. And the biggest thing for me was a bunch of guy friends that reached out to me and texted me separately and were like, hey, I've been dealing with this too, like thank you for saying it. I would never expect someone like you going through that and this and that. And so just like hearing all that stuff, I saved all the text messages. Like that was made everything worth it.
That is exactly why we have to take the opportunity, as many chances as we get, especially in forums like this. We all have friends that look at us as strong individuals. And it is those who that are looked at it being strong individuals have to share their emotional sides. Yeah. Absolutely. There's people that say, oh no, you just be a fucking man. I was like, this is me being a fucking man. Yeah. Because if one person read that letter, which obviously many did, and if one person read that letter and it stopped them from doing something bad to themselves, or if one person read that letter and it just put their day in perspective, I mean, holy fuck, dude, you probably saved someone's life by doing that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if there was someone who was heading in that trajectory, I hope it did. Yeah. But yeah, that was it. I just wanted to start a conversation. I felt like people would know, like, I actually, meant what I said. And I even said, this wasn't for attention. I don't want anyone to feel bad for me. It has nothing to do with that. This is just, hey, this is what I've gone through. This is what I've been dealing with. Like, I know there's other people like that, especially since COVID. Like, COVID was fucked. Mentally, it was such a fucked situation for so many people. And we're luckily enough, we were in Florida, so we weren't locked down that long.
We were the least affected.
So, but I'm originally from New York. I have friends, and they live in small ass apartments in the city, and being stuck in there, I would have went crazy. Like, there's no way you can.
Listen, I work on boats, and I was on a boat I was on a specific job for a year on a boat during COVID. We got locked down in the intercoastal here for 30 days, kind of locked down, not really. And then we took the boat to Europe, and it didn't really seem like we were in COVID because the boat kept traveling. Yeah. And we were locked in the boat as much as we normally are when we're working long ass days. Yeah. But, we had the owner coming on and coming off, and his friends and his family and all that. And I went to land to get groceries. Like, it really didn't affect me because of what I did for a living. But when anyone is put in a situation like that and they can't get out of their house on a regular, they can't go see their friends, they can't, and it's not that they couldn't see them on Zoom or whatever, but it's that physical human connection which we need.
We're social beings.
Yes.
And a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be the lone wolf. That's not how life works. Like,
I love my solitude.
No, you have to be comfortable with being alone.
Yes.
You have to. But I don't think it's healthy to just
24 hours a day.
No.
I go a bit stir crazy. Like right now I'm trying to build a company. So if I'm not working on a boat, I'm pretty much in my house in front of my laptop, sitting here doing this. This is like, 2 hours. Yeah. If I get to do 2 of these a day, I'm fucking super stoked. It's 4 hours of my day. But there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days where I don't get to sit and talk with somebody. Oh. So when you see me at the gym, and even at the gym, you're not totally socializing because you're around people. You're around people. Yeah. But to be locked in your house all the time with your own thoughts and your own worries and your own stresses is not healthy.
No.
But taking a little bit of time to have your solitude, I think, is absolutely important. Yeah. And like you said, if you are not comfortable with enjoying time by yourself, something's wrong. Yeah. You're not going to be able to be a good friend, a good partner, a good mentor if you don't know how to take 30 minutes, an hour of your day and just really just enjoy who you are and do things that specifically make you happy. And everyone out there in the audience that follows, the Lyfe Choyces podcast and myself knows that I wake up early in order to have that time by myself with my puppy. But then, absolutely. Like, I need that interaction with humans. My big thing is, man or woman, it don't fucking matter. When you say hi to me, I'll fist bump you, whatever. But I'd much rather have a hug. I'd much rather have that hug because that energy, that transfer of I don't even know what that is, but it just changes everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who do it for a living.
Give hugs for a living?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you can Google it. They get paid a lot of money.
Get the fuck out of here.
They're professional cuddlers. Yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah, there's studies that proven that that social that physical raises dopamine levels and all this stuff. Yeah, you can Google it. There's people who do that for a living.
There's a job out there for everybody. I tell you, that is amazing. I wonder how someone gets into that career.
That I don't know, but yeah, it is a thing.
So, being that you wrote that letter, is it still on?
I have it archived. I didn't want my I'm very lighthearted on social media. I don't take it serious. Right. I actually limit it. I put an hour cap on my social media or any type of social media on my phone because I was that person scrolling all day, every day. Especially since I have access to my phone at work and stuff, and it's there. So I limit how much I'm on it. But I didn't want it to be depressing thing, you know, whenever, but it's there. I can archive it. I think I will soon, since I've posted since then. I just didn't want that to be like the first thing you saw when you went to my my Instagram page, because for me it's like social media I don't take serious like that. But I know it's probably one of the best ways to get something out there, especially the people who are close to me.
Absolutely. Social media is I mean, all the juggernauts in the industries of business right now are the ones voicing very loudly on social media platforms that this is where the world is right now. And regardless where you're making your money, you need to be on there.
No, you do.
If you're not, you're missing out. I tend not to use social media the way in which I used to, which is just blindly scrolling for nonsense and looking at things that really don't add to my life. I spent a great deal of time on it. Obviously that I'm on a podcast, so therefore trying to get the community built, you have to be relevant, you have to be visible, you have to be on there. I use it pretty much to light the fire under my self-motivation, because there's certain people that I look to for motivation and for information on business and information on just becoming better as a company, as a person, all that sort of stuff. And so I do scroll on certain things, and I love so one of my guilty pleasures is watching AGT singers. Okay. Was it America's Got Talent? And Britain's Got Talent. All the fucking shows. But all I want to see is just those people singing, and then the reaction that they get from the audience. Like when the audience loves them and they're like, oh my God, that's my guilty pleasure. But putting yourself out there in that situation is what social media is for, in my opinion. It's not for the selfies. No. It's not for that. Not to show off. No, it's not to show your Bentley or your Rari. It is literally there to build businesses, build awareness, and help people. Yeah. So that is, and I'm glad that people did not look at it in a way of, oh, poor me, oh, I need help.
Well, I specifically wrote that, and that's how I started the letter.
Isn't it unfortunate that we have to write those letters first?
Because people, people just, if it's on social media, they think, oh, you're just attention seeking. And that's why I made it very clear. And I was like, I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you comment on it. I don't care if you text or call me about it. I just want you to read it. And then if you're going through something, have a conversation with somebody. And at the end, I write that. It's like, it could be me. It could be whoever you need to, but talk to someone if you're going through something.
So since you said that, like, and I was also like this when I was younger, you kept everything in before. I was... probably not until my late 20s, early 30s did I 30s. Become open with this sort of conversation. Excuse me. So what was it about that particular moment in your life that you decided to open up so publicly?
I was just in a really dark place personally. No one knew it. My mother didn't know it. No one close to me knew this at all. And like I said, I'm a very self-aware person. So like for me, it like eats at me more when I'm like, if I was in a depressed or sad or whatever I was going through, because I know I have no reason to. I know that's not true, but at the time it's like, I have no reason to. Why? Like, I'm successful, I have great friends, all this stuff that I have going for me, but I still can't get out of this rut, it felt like. And I wasn't ready for therapy. I still don't go to therapy. Even though I'm ready for it, just for me, I'm not at that point yet. But I needed to do something. And like I said, I watched that Netflix special, Jonah Hill and his therapist. And I'm like, okay, this is my little into therapy. Like, let me use these tools. And like, I just randomly stumbled on it that day and the night before. So I was literally in my car and I took my phone out and I did that. And I was scared shitless to post it. It was the scariest thing. Absolutely. It was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm deathly scared of heights. And like the month prior, I paraglided in Colombia and I was shitting my pants I was like, I'd rather do that 10 times over and jump out of a plane than post this freaking letter that I just wrote on social media. Because I know, like, I knew the reaction I was going to get because I'm very self-aware of who I am in my friend group and in my social life. So I posted it, deleted my Instagram, the app off my phone. Yeah, because I knew my phone was about to get blown up. And I was very lucky that I had a friend, Terry, who's a therapist, and she was the first person to call me.
Yeah.
And I answered the phone, and she was probably like the only person I could talk to at that time, one of the few people. And I said, hey, my phone's, and I text me, I heard it ringing, people trying to call me. just stay on the phone with me.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with any of this. I don't want to respond.
You're the one. You're the one.
Just
stay.
talk.
Yeah.
So stayed on the phone. We talked, and then like I had friends texting me like, "Hey, like, so awesome you posted that. Everything's been positive feedback." Da, 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 da. I said, "All right, I'll give it time." And like an hour or two later, I re-downloaded Instagram, and I started looking at it. I still didn't respond. And then like the next day, I went through all the comments and responded to everybody.
It was all love.
Yeah, it was all love.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So I was having a conversation, same friend of mine at the gym today, and after he expressed to me, you know, what he's going through. And this is another very, you know, big, muscular, you know, confident man.
You got to look out for the strong friends because like,
oh, fuck. 100%, dude. And he's opening up to me about this situation. And honestly, like we'd only known each other very, very little through the gym. And his wife and I have known each other from our circles of friends. And since he's been on the podcast, you know, I can see how much more our friendship has grown because now like he's willing to open up to personal shit with me. And I said to him, like, what's really important that we have to do, those of us who have gotten through holding it all in and are okay with letting it all out and being okay with expressing as men our emotions, it's very important for us to take the moment and ask people how they're doing.
Yeah.
Because very often you hang out with your buddies, your friends, and what have you. You're like, "Hey man, how's your day?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it was awesome." "Oh yeah, which fuck man, I went." You know, like,
so superficial on the surface.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But have you ever like stood in front of your friend and said, "How are you today?"
Yeah.
Like, are you good? And it's not like I think about it. It's like I don't. My one friend, you know, that you know I spend most of my free time with, absolutely, because he himself in the past wasn't so forthcoming with such conversations. But I remember a couple years back, you know, he called me up and said, "Hey, can you want to meet me for lunch?" And 1,000%, like, are you kidding me? Just tell me and I'm there. And we met for lunch, and he took the moment to open up and tell me why he was acting the way he was lately. And he wasn't acting anything differently to me. He's just within himself. And I'm telling you, it takes zero effort to be like, "How are you?" And if someone needs it, they will, in time, if not in that moment, tell you how they're doing. Yeah. And I love it. I love being a person that others feel comfortable coming and talking to. And you don't always have to give advice.
No, sometimes people just need to listen. They want a sounding board. They just, you know, it's not always. That's one thing I've had to learn. You know, I feel like my brain, how it works is, you give me a problem, I'm just going to try to find a solution. Some people, they don't want the solution. They just want to talk about their problem, get it off their chest, and go from there. And if they do want your feedback or help, then they'll ask for it.
So on the same topic, flip side of the coin on that, what I've noticed is I'm always willing to listen. If they want advice, I'll give it. But if you're, how can I explain this? There are certain people that just want to talk about their problems. They don't want a solution. Do you know what I'm getting at here?
Yes. So those people, I'm very blunt with them.
Yes.
And I said, hey, if you're coming to me with a problem and it's a problem you come with it to me multiple times, I'm going to be like, I'm going to give you my opinion. You can do what you want with it. But after that, that's it. I can't help you further from it unless you're going to try to make choices that better it, or if you want to come up with a plan. I felt like at one point I was a friend where like people came with like the relationship problems to me.
Yes.
And then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to give you my opinion, but I know at the end of the day, you're going to do whatever you want. So I'll give you my opinion, but it's not going to make a difference unless what I say is what you wanted to hear.
Yes.
And I tell them that. And I'm like, because at the end of the day, you're human. You're going to, especially in that, when those strong feelings are involved, you're going to go back to that girl and talk to her, even though you probably
20
shouldn't.
more times.
Or have a lot of close girlfriends. Same thing. I tell them the red flags with the guys. But I know you're still going to make the decisions you want to make. And if you want to see that person again or talk to that person again, you're still going to do it. So I try to like...
You have to know, like, being a person that's willing to listen to others, you also have to know when it's someone that actually needs that. Like, it's an actual, you know what I'm saying? Like, a pretty deep situation where you're like, yeah, I'm there for you. But if it's someone that's just going to keep coming back to you week after week with the same thing and they're just not listening to anything, then it's kind of like, come on.
I always say, what's the common denominator?
Yeah, exactly.
If it's you, then you got to look at yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. People don't want to do it.
And they don't want to hear it.
Hell no, they don't want to hear it.
And that takes us back to the topic about hard love.
Yeah.
You know, just being that person that's just gonna be like, listen, this is like, it's not the relationship.
Yeah.
Look what you're doing every time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have friends who like they're single and they're older, and you know, so, and I have a really large friend group that's pretty much all married at this point in time. I've been to 20 something weddings in the last few years.
Damn.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it's a running joke with the friends. Oh, Matt's going to another wedding. And then so, but I have friends that, you know, older, and they put a lot of pressure on that. And I say, well, you're too much focused on finding that person. Focus on yourself. Because if you're not in a good mindset or in a good place in life, even if you find that perfect person,
Ain't gonna work.
you're gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
Because you got your own issues that you haven't dealt with, and you bring that into your relationship, and they're always gonna surface.
And it's funny how a lot of people, even though that message is out there, it's fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of people still can't figure that out.
No.
I've noticed two things lately. One thing is it's pretty point blank, and it's unbelievable how many times even myself have fallen this for. If the individual is always making excuses as to why not to spend time with you, they're not interested in you.
No.
So even though there's the banter, and even though there's the conversation, whether it's through texting or calling, phone calling, I know people don't do that anymore.
I love doing it.
But even if there's a phone call conversation, a text, whatever, social media through Instagram, if there's like 2, 3, 4 times,
Yeah.
parachute,
No.
dude, get the fuck out. Like, it's done.
Put yourself in that position. If
Yeah.
you really want to see someone, you're gonna make the time and effort to see that person. No one's that busy. I don't care.
And
no
it's on
one's
both
that-
sides.
Yes.
Male and female.
Yeah.
Same, don't matter.
Yeah,
you
guys
know?
do it, females do it. It's not the
And if you're in a guy-guy relationship or a girl-girl relationship, whatever relationship that's going on, if the other person is not putting out the effort, if someone likes someone, they're going to show the fuck up and do whatever.
Yep.
You don't need to take them out for a fucking dinner. I'm
was-
not saying don't do it.
No.
I'm just saying you don't have to fucking go for a dinner. If someone wants to spend time with you, they will show up for a fucking coffee. They will go for a walk with your goddamn
they'll figure it
kid
out.
if you have one. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. They will show the fuck up.
Yep. Yeah, I always say don't go off of what someone says, go off of what they do.
Yeah.
Behavior.
Actions.
Behavior says everything.
I mean, that brings it back to what you do for a living. So, yeah, that's it. It's a conundrum right now, I think, for most people, and I don't understand. There's so much information out here right now on so many different platforms for any topic, for more than just what we talk about here on Lyfe Choices. There's so much information out there that one can live a better life by doing a little bit of research. If there's something bothering you, there's the fucking World Wide Web, man. It's
one
there with the
Google away.
answers. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you get the new thing that everyone's talking about, the GPT, the AI stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird shit, but
Yeah, I'm on a group chat, and that's half the conversation is about that.
yeah, the next movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to lose
Taking
the
it.
human connection.
No.
important
I mean,
to
we're
me.
slowly drifting that way.
That's another huge reason for this.
Yeah. That's another thing I talk with my friends a lot too. Is like where our society's moving, going forward, and it's kind of scary. Especially like, you know, I'm 33. Like my friends, they're either having kids or want to have kids, and I always say like it's scary to have a kid and grow and raise a kid in this time right now.
I think one of the best times to have a kid and grow up, or grow up as a kid or have children, would have been like 1901 to 1999. You know, there was a lot of shit going on. You saw a lot of different things. There was world wars, and there was, you know, there was a lot of different movements and a lot of like new inventions and all this. But all of a sudden, 2000 and further, it's like technology is just blowing us away.
And and I love technology, and you know, everyone talks shit about social media, but it is a great, you know, tool to use. It's just you have to know how to use it the right way.
I think right now where we're at a pivotal moment of a wonderful time for us, because social media is what it is, but social media is now becoming what it should be, right? It's when it first came out, it was all about look at me. Now it's morphed organically into what it should be, which is the business aspect, the helping other situation. And then you have strong individuals like yourself who are willing to come on to shows like this that eventually will be watched by millions of people, where we're sharing the right information. We're all successful in whatever career we've chosen, but we're now becoming successful in our mental state, in our mental health, in our physical health. I think the life expectancy is longer because we're aware of how important these aspects are. And I think if everyone really does grab the reins right now and starts their own podcast or starts their own social media endeavor where create a business, create something tangible, give services back to the world, and have the whole economy going, but also take time to keep the human connection together by opening up the avenues of sharing.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at in my head right now.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So the job obviously, I don't want to say dictates, but definitely influences quite a lot in your life, and I think for the better. You know.
Yeah. I pick up things. It's funny when I go out. I see everything. Like whatever's going around me, other people, strangers, whatever. I see everything. So, people watching is fun for me, especially South Florida. A lot of interesting characters down here. But yeah, I try not to let it like affect me too much with my like personal life and stuff. Some stuff's just ingrained in me, you know.
Yeah.
Like the funny is when I go on dates and stuff, to like, and I tell that person what I'm doing, what I do for a living, and like, oh, so are you analyzing me right now? I'm like, no, it just means I'm more observant than the typical person. Like I'll see things, or you might be doing something, or I'll pick up on stuff. Like my friends, I know my friends really well.
Yeah, no,
like I know them probably better than
them a lot.
Yeah, I'm around them a lot. I know my friends probably better than
they
know themselves. And I know certain situations, how my friend's gonna act and how they're gonna respond and everything like that. And I can play it in my head, and it's usually spot on. So like that kind of stuff, that's where it helps me more, I guess, or that's where I'm a little different.
Does it hinder dating?
Yes and no. It hinders where sometimes I'm a little bit too accepting of things because I've seen the craziest of the crazy. So like your crazy is not even that too.
It's not
crazy.
really on the scale.
Yeah, it's like okay, like I said, like I had a client try to pull a knife on me for ice cream.
Yeah.
Like so, you yelling or freaking out on me for something small. Like okay, it still shouldn't be happening, but I'm a little bit more accepting of it. So
they must get more angry because of your calmness response
sometimes, and then that's when I know if my response isn't like that, that's when it's time where I'm like, okay, time out. In the past, like grew up temper, my whole especially the men in my family, stubborn tempers, like that's how we were. And so a lot of growth in my 20s as I gotten older. And then since my dad passed too, like that was I always say like it was one of the worst and best things to ever happen to me. Obviously because I lost my father.
Yes.
But I've grown so much as an adult and as a man since then that I have to, take that to account of like, hey, I wouldn't be where I am in life if I didn't go through that, that tough time.
Yeah. Well, I'll share with you what I do regularly, and the audience knows this. The audience that's been around from the beginning knows this, is that 2017 is when he passed. And to this day, I don't want to say every single day, but at least 5 times a week, I talk to my father still. I don't know if you do that at all.
No, I don't. I do more of thinking about, obviously I think about him every day, but more of thinking about certain situations and what he would say to me and like what advice he would give to me, because we spent a lot of time together. I played sports my whole life, so he's the one who took me to all the practices and all my games. He didn't miss anything ever. There was one point where he didn't miss a practice.
Wow.
Yeah, until I started driving. I was able to drive myself to practices in high school and stuff. Then he's like, okay, Dad, you don't have to come to every practice. He would still show up to most of them. But so that's more like, okay, like in this situation, what kind of advice would he give me? Because, I knew, and we were very similar personalities and everything like that. My mom calls me, his name is Robert, so I got called Little Robert all the time. And it wasn't a compliment. I took it as a compliment, but
so did I.
Yeah. So Little Robert, you sound like your dad. All right, Mom, sorry.
That's so funny because I've shared that with the audience here many times, and my mom would call me Little Arthur.
Really?
All the time. All their friends would say it. Yeah, it was so hilarious. He was my confidant once I moved out of the house because we were the same personality. We did not get along the 19 years that I was living at home. Sounds like you guys did kind of get along.
We did bump heads though a lot, especially as I got as older as an adult. Growing up, no. But like as an adult, there's things because again, your parents aren't perfect. They're still humans.
And you're a child and you have no idea what they're going through.
You have no idea. And then that's one thing, as I gotten older and older, it just gave me more respect for my parents because I never needed for anything growing up as a kid. And then as you get older, you start talking with your friends about their parents and you're like, shit, like,
damn, I had it good.
And I always knew I had it good,
Yeah.
but I appreciate it a lot more for what they did for, you know, me and my brother and my sister growing up, because they were always there, and they stuck it together. I mean, they had a good relationship, but, you know, every couples fight and stuff. And,
Yeah.
like, I was one of the rare kids that grew up with not divorced parents. Like, that was
I'm
such...
with you.
Me and my best
Yeah.
friend were, like, the only two
Yeah.
friends were, like, dude, it's kind of weird. Like, we're the only kids with non-divorced parents. Like...
Most of my friends in public school, that's just the way it was, divorce. And yeah, my parents were 48 and a half years.
Yeah, my parents, same, 46 and a half, yeah.
Crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not easy growing up being referred to as your dad. The relationship for me got better when I moved out, because that's when I started realizing, when I said, like, I'm out of here and I'm going to live on my own and blah, blah, blah. And then you start realizing all the stuff he was doing was just teaching. He was just trying to teach you, and that's it.
So, that's what I always say, like, your parents are your parents. You got to accept them for who they are, and you got to learn from the good and learn from the bad.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't have to always, you know, people talk about, like, generational curses or this and that. Like, I want to, whatever bad things or negative things that my parents did financially or raising their kids or relationship-wise, I don't want to make those same mistakes. I want to learn from them and then change that for my family and the next generation going forward.
We all want to do a little bit better than
that's
our
all you
parents
can really
did,
ask
and that's
for.
it. Just, you know, change, just like take the good, like you said. You know, we're not going to hit our kids necessarily, but we're going to be firm with them.
Yeah, like,
if I am ever lucky enough to have children of my own, I am not going to have a discussion with them until a certain age. Like, as a child, no,
you let them be kids.
Yeah, but it's like, no, you're not doing that right now. You're gonna sit there. This is gonna happen. Nah.
Yeah, I think, like, as I got older, like, with my parents, we got closer when it came to that, because we had more adult conversations, adult topics and stuff like that, where, you know, growing up, it was like we didn't have, like, the deep conversation about certain things, but as you get older and, like, okay, now you're experiencing your own life, you're going through your own relationships and your own issues and things that you're dealing with, and you're like, okay, now you can relate a little bit more. And, like, especially if, like, me, my brother and my sister, I feel like we've gotten closer as we've gotten older, because there's such a big age difference. There's 14 years between me and my brother, and 19 between my sister and my brother.
Wow.
Yeah, my brother's he just turned 48. I'm 33, and my sister's about to turn 29.
Okay, so you and your sister are fairly close.
Yes, we're like 4.5, 5 years.
I'm 7 years from my oldest brother, and 3 years from my middle brother.
So, like, growing up, it's hard to be close to your brother who's 15 years older than you.
Absolutely.
It's almost like a second father. Yeah. You know, when I'm 4 years old, he's almost 20, so he's dating. He's out the house. He's out the house and stuff. So it's you know, now that we're all adults, you know, we can hang out. We go grab a drink, or, you know,
like you said, you have more relatable topics to talk about for sure. It's amazing. Like, I think what you brought up about how, like, we don't know what our parents are going through, and no parent gets how to be a successful parent manual. You just don't. And
it needs to be taught.
Yeah, like, even though, you know, our audience, we're not gearing to, like, you know, 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds or anything like that, but it wouldn't hurt for them to hear things like this at the age in which they start understanding what it might be to be an adult, and knowing that, your parents are people too. Yeah. And they're literally just trying to survive and keep a roof over your head and clothes on your back and food on the table. And you don't know what those stresses are like until you start. It's not even like, as a single person, yes, it's stressful to have food on the table and clothes on your back. But as an adult, when you're worrying about another human being, that's mind-boggling.
That's a little different type of stress.
Yeah. We don't have that stress.
No.
So, I mean...
No. And I have friends now, they're popping out the babies and stuff. And luckily, a lot of them, you know, financially can afford kids. But kids are not cheap these days.
Oh, I hear it's like $1 million over the course of their life.
It's it used to be to raise a kid from 18, not including college, used to be $250,000. I think it's up to like $400,000 now. That's not including
for 18 years.
Yeah, not including college. For one kid on average.
Not including college.
Not including college.
Jesus Christ, man.
I thought it was like the new number with it.
All right, everybody out there, I want to have kids, so we're going to need to like start picking up the subscription here. You know, it's going to need to go a bit higher.
But you make it work at the end of the day.
You do always, right?
You figure it out, you make it work. And that's what I ask my friends, especially my friends who have multiple kids. I'm like, hey, like financially, like how you make it work, you know?
Sacrifice.
You sacrifice. I don't buy new clothes and stuff like that. Like you were talking about my nice car. I was out with my best friend and his family for dinner, and the uncle was the finance guy. He's like, oh, must be a pretty payment. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And he's just like, don't worry, enjoy it now, because once you start having kids and stuff like that, the nice fancy car goes out.
That's where you get the minivan. The economy car.
Can't do the minivan. I could do an SUV.
Listen, I had a minivan. I didn't.
My dad had a minivan.
My mom had a minivan when I was in high
Toyota
school.
Sienna. My dad drove till literally the wheels fell off. Dude, but I didn't understand why he'd do that, and it's because he was taking me to baseball games and buying me all new cleats and gloves every year and taking me to lessons and all this stuff and spending all this money that as a kid you understand he's spending money, but you don't realize what that cost is. So he never had new cars. Him and my mom. He never bought clothes. The only clothes my dad ever got new was because me or mom or dad, our family like bought him for his birthday or Father's Day or something like that. He'd wear the same jeans and t-shirt every day.
Listen, I'm switching my life lately. I wear this every day. I have multiple pairs of them, you know, and I wash them, and that's it. And I don't care from the aspect of I don't need to be in a Versace outfit, you know. Not that I have the money currently, but if I did, it's you become mature, and you realize where you rather put your money, and you learn life lessons as you go. And that's the great thing about becoming an adult, is you do start to understand where your parents came from, and you are able to give that love back to them. And
you sympathize with them more,
and you give them the respect back too, you know. And that's really why they're doing it, is so that one day you're going to come back and hug them and say, you know what, thank you. You know, thank you for being you, and thank you for taking care of me. And I hope most people out there have a parent or two like that, you know, because that's another thing I'm grateful for, is like you said, I grew up in a house that was not a broken home. You know, I grew up with both my parents together. I did see a lot of fights, as people do, but I didn't have to go through those aspects of life, and to be grateful from the aspect of knowing the shit they went through in order to keep me and my brothers fed, clothed, shelter, all that sort of stuff. I must say, like, as always, the time just flies when we sit down in this chair. This is like most of my guests, I want you to come back again in the future, whenever. Because I was going to start to get into faith and whatnot, because like when you say things always work out, I'm a big believer that has a lot to do with your faith in yourself and the faith in the God and in the universe and all that. But that'll be another hour and a half conversation for sure. You touched on pretty much every topic that I ever talk about. You talked about the ups and downs about life, adversity. You know, we talk about how, you know, when it's sunny, it's going to rain, and when it rains, it's going to be sunny again. Consistency, like you really you hit everything just wonderfully. What you do for a living, it's clear that you have the right mindset, and then you had the right mindset going into it. You're changing people's lives and not allowing negativity affect your life, which is amazing from the aspect of work.
Oh, no, yes.
You're able to accept the negativity that comes in your life and do something so wonderful for other people, like writing that message. I would love to read that one day.
I will send it to you. I'm going to unarchive it, and so it's a post again.
That would be, I want to read that, because I've expressed, I've laid on the couch, I've laid on the bed before nights crying and whatnot, and it's therapeutic.
We all done it.
And this is a mission of mine with the Lyfe Choices podcast, is to keep these conversations going. And I want to thank you so tremendously for, like you said at the beginning, for being an open book. You know, you just let that out on your own, and it was absolutely amazing. Everyone out here that's watching and listening is, I'm sure, so much happier that they heard that from someone that is so strong and confident. So thank you so much for coming here today. I appreciate it. I'm glad we got to have this conversation. We'll have more in the future, I'm hoping. For everyone out there, are new clients able to get hold of you?
Yes, I am fully booked right now.
Okay.
Like, that's the one thing. Anyone who wants to get in the field, though, reach out to me. I am always willing to help people get trained, figure out what their next career move is, because we need analysts. I turn down cases every week.
Because there's such a demand.
The population is so much greater than the amount of people that work in this field.
Okay, so you'll give socials or your brother's agency.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could just reach me directly.
Reach you directly. So whatever social you're willing to give us, which currently is right now down below in the description, if you are interested in reaching out to Matt for career advice or possibly learning how to become an analyst yourself, he's more than happy to help you. So we'll pass that along to everybody. Everyone out there, thank you once again, as always, for coming out to watch the Lyfe Choyces podcast. If you're listening to us on audio, thank you very much for joining us on the audio platforms. You can contact us down below in the description is all of our social media platforms that you can reach us. Genuinely, thank you so much for your support. Everyday growth has been happening here on Lyfe Choyces. I see the subscription getting higher and higher. If you're new to the podcast, please just hit the subscribe button, like, share, comment, tell a friend. We look forward to seeing you back here next week again if you come. And just remember always, much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now about
The Journey, Lyfe Choyces podcast.